Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a journey. We're heading into Middle Earth.
Ah, classic destination.
Exactly. We're going to really unpack the magic of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. We've got a fantastic review here that we're using as our guide. And, well, it helps us get beyond just the plot points you might already know.
Right.
Our mission really is to figure out not just what happens on Bilbo's big adventure, but why. Why does this story still grab people generations later?
Right.
And what was its actual literary impact?
Yeah, absolutely. And when The Hobbit came out, let's see, 1937, it wasn't just another book for kids.
No.
It really, laid the groundwork for what we now call high fantasy or high fiction.
Can you unpack that term a bit? High fiction.
Sure. It's basically a genre known for these really detailed, constructed worlds, often draws on myths, legends, that sort of thing. And it tends to explore deeper themes, moral questions, philosophical ideas. It goes beyond simple escapism.
Got it. So The Hobbit, at around, 310 pages, it's kind of a compact entry point into something much bigger.
Deceptively concise, yeah. It opens the door to this huge, new literary world.
It really does. And the story itself, for anyone needing a quick refresher, it kicks off with Bilbo Baggins.
Good old Bilbo.
Yeah, a hobbit who loves his comfort, loves his routine, lives in a cozy hobbit hole in the Shire, nice and peaceful.
Until it isn't.
Exactly. His life just gets completely turned upside down when Gandalf, the mysterious wizard, shows up.
Right. Along with a whole troop of dwarfs, 13 of them.
13 dwarves crashing his quiet life. And they have this, this singular mission.
That's right. They're driven by this quest to reclaim their ancestral kingdom, Erebor. It's inside the Lonely Mountain.
And there's treasure involved. Lots of treasure.
Immense treasure. But, and it's a big but, it's guarded.
By Smaug.
By Smaug, one of the most, iconic villains in fantasy. A huge, fearsome, very intelligent dragon.
And for me, what really makes the adventure stick is Bilbo's own journey, his inner journey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he gets dragged through these dangerous forests, over massive mountains, into these dark, scary caves.
Not exactly the Shire.
Not at all. And he goes through this incredible slow burn transformation. It's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, he has to shed that timid homebody thing.
He has no choice, really. He's forced to become clever, find courage he never knew he had, and along the way he meets all these memorable creatures.
Right. Trolls.
Bumbling trolls, yeah. Goblins.
Nasty goblins.
Elves, giant spiders.
Oh.
Terrifying giant spiders.
Oh, yes.
And of course, Gollum.
Gollum.
Where he wins that ring. Just seems like a simple gold ring at the time.
Deceptively simple. Yeah.
But it's the one ring, immensely powerful. And he has no idea, does he, about its true nature, how corrupting it is.
Not a clue. And that little trinket, as you called it, well, its effects ripple out and end up shaping the fate of all Middle-earth.
Wild.
It really is. It's not just the plot that pulls you in, it's the people, the characters living through it all.
Definitely.
From that moment, Gandalf first knocks on Bilbo's round green door. These personalities just become the heart of the story, don't they?
They really do. So what is it about Tolkien's characters here? What makes them stick with us, even if we feel like we know them inside out already?
Well, I think the review touches on this. On the surface, they might seem like archetypes, the wizard, the hero, the dragon.
Right.
But when you look closer, they're actually quite nuanced. They sort of defy easy labels.
Okay, like Bilbo, for instance.
Exactly. Bilbo Baggins. He's not just the reluctant hero. He's more like the embodiment of the ordinary person, right?
Mm-hmm.
He finds courage not because he was born brave, but through making choices, through developing empathy, through just getting through it.
It's gradual.
It is. It's not some magic switch. It's him slowly trading comfort for competence. It shows that heroism often isn't flashy gestures.
Yeah.
It's just, sticking with it when you're scared.
That's a great way to put it. And Gandalf, more than just a pointy hat.
Oh, much more. He's wise, yes, but he's also a bit of a manipulator, isn't he? In a good way, maybe. Yeah, strategic force. He pushes people. He sees their potential and kind of steers them towards it.
Yeah.
He embodies that idea that real guidance sometimes means pushing you out of your comfort zone.
Makes sense. Then there's Thorin Oakenshield, the leader.
Not Thorin. Proud, determined leader of the dwarves. His quest to get his kingdom back is powerful.
But there's a catch.
There is. He develops that dragon sickness.
Yeah.
Which is such a brilliant psychological touch from Tolkien.
It really is.
It shows how just being near huge, unearned wealth can start to twist you. Even noble goals, like reclaiming your heritage, can turn into this possessive, dangerous obsession.
Real cautionary element there.
definitely. And then Smog.
The dragon?
Not just a big lizard. He's ancient evil, pure greed personified, but cunning, too. A really formidable opponent.
And Gollum.
Ah, Gollum. Creepy, pathetic, obsessed with his precious. He gives Bilbo that crucial test, doesn't he?
The riddle game.
The riddle game.
Okay.
Battle of wits. And it subtly sets the stage for the much bigger fight over the ring's fate later on.
So, beyond the adventure, beyond these amazing characters, the book is just packed with meaning, isn't it?
Absolutely.
For those of us who love digging into the deeper stuff, what does the review highlight as the really key themes, the ones that still resonate today?
Well, the review really nails down 4 main ones that go beyond just the surface story.
Okay.
First, there's heroism and growth. And like we were saying with Bilbo, it's more than just finding courage.
Right. It's how he finds it.
Exactly.
Right.
Tolkien shows that real bravery isn't about being the strongest or the toughest. It's inner strength. It's self-discovery. Bilbo's journey kind of turns the traditional hero's journey on its head, but showing that massive change can happen in the most, well, ordinary people.
Unexpected heroes.
Precisely. Then there's greed and power. And this goes deeper than just Thorin wanting his gold back.
The dragon sickness again?
Yeah, that's a perfect example. It's a really sharp insight into how power, or even just the idea of wealth and power, can warp someone's character. It's a pretty stark warning, actually. You see echoes of it everywhere, even today. How obsession with resources can twist things.
Very true. What else?
Adventure and discovery. The whole story is basically a celebration of getting out there, of being curious.
Leaving the comfort zone.
Yeah. It shows the amazing power of just daring to step outside what's familiar. It argues that real growth happens out there, not tucked away at home.
I like that. And the last one.
Good versus evil.
Okay.
Now, on one level, it has that classic fairy tale feel, you know, clear good guys, clear bad guys.
Like trolls and goblins.
Right. But even here, Tolkien is subtly setting things up. He's laying the groundwork for the much more complex, morally gray world you see in The Lord of the Rings.
So it hints at bigger struggles.
Yeah, it does. It gives you a glimpse into this larger cosmic battle, even within this relatively contained story.
It's amazing how he pulls that off, making it feel both grand and personal, and somehow suitable for, well, almost any age.
Yeah, the writing itself is key there.
I was really struck reading the review how it mentioned his language actually changes through the book. It's like the book grows up alongside Bilbo. How does that work? What parts of his style make it bridge that gap between a kid's story and something epic?
That's a really good point. The style does evolve. He starts off very light, doesn't he? Almost whimsical.
Yeah, like a fairy tale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Feels like a classic bedtime story. You get songs, riddles, those charming little comments directly from the narrator.
Yeah, the asides.
Right. It makes it really easy to get into. Very inviting. But then, as the journey gets tougher, as Bilbo himself changes.
The tone shifts.
The tone shifts, absolutely. Becomes more serious, more epic in scale. You start to feel the shadow of that darker, more complex world that he'd fully explore later in The Lord of the Rings. It's a subtle but definite change.
And his descriptions are just incredible. They really paint a picture of Middle-earth. You feel like you're there.
He had such a gift for that, making the world feel real, lived in.
And the dialogue, too. It feels natural, often quite witty. It just works, whether you're, 10 or 80.
Yeah, that accessibility is a huge part of its lasting appeal.
Okay, so it's pretty clear The Hobbit is a landmark book, widely loved. But let's get specific. What does our review pinpoint as its absolute core strengths? And maybe are there any subtle points where some readers might see things a bit differently?
Right. Well, the strengths are pretty undeniable, and they're why it's lasted so long. First off, the world building.
It's foundational.
Absolutely foundational. It basically created the blueprint for modern fantasy as we know it. You feel the history, the depth of Middle-earth right from the start. Second, as we've been saying, the characters. They're so memorable. Unique personalities and these really compelling arcs. Bilbo's journey alone is just a masterclass in character development.
Couldn't agree more.
Third, the pacing. I think Tolkien really nails this. It manages to balance these exciting action scenes with moments for reflection, for character growth, for plot development. It never feels rushed, but it rarely drags either.
Good point.
And finally, those iconic moments. Things like the riddle game with Gollum. They're just so perfectly written, they stick in your head forever. Unforgettable.
That riddle scene is definitely a highlight. Okay, so strengths are clear. Now, the flip side, even classics can have aspects that, maybe don't land perfectly for everyone, especially modern readers. Does the review mention any subtle weaknesses or points of contention?
It does mention a few minor things, yeah. Nothing that takes away from its classic status, but things some readers might notice.
Like what?
Well, for some people, especially maybe if they're used to really fast-paced modern fantasy, the beginning might feel a bit slow.
Before the adventure really kicks in.
Yeah, a bit descriptive perhaps, setting the scene in the Shire. Takes a little while to get going.
Okay.
Another point, and this is probably more obvious to modern readers, is the lack of significant female characters.
Right, there aren't really any, are there?
No, it's very much a male-centric journey, which, reflects the time it was written, but it's something people notice now.
Understandable. Anything else?
Just that shift in tone we talked about. Towards the end, it gets quite a bit more serious, more epic.
Less like the fairy tale beginning.
Exactly. For some younger readers who really love that initial whimsical storybook feel, that shift might feel a little jarring. It moves away from that cozy start. But again, these are pretty minor points in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, definitely seems that way. It's just impossible to really overstate the impact The Hobbit has had, isn't it? It feels like more than just a book. It's woven into our culture. What's its lasting legacy been beyond just literature?
Oh, its legacy is enormous, monumental, really. I mean, first off, it's a timeless fantasy classic, sold over 100 million copies around the world.
Wow.
It was the gateway, the essential introduction to Middle-earth for so many readers. It opened the door and paved the way for the much larger, more complex The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Set the stage perfectly.
It really did. And beyond Tolkien's own work, it inspired countless fantasy writers, generations of them, building their own worlds, their own heroes, often following that blueprint.
You can see its influence everywhere in the genre.
Everywhere. And then it exploded beyond books, right? It became this global cultural phenomenon. Huge blockbuster movies, video games, merchandise spin-offs. It's just everywhere.
So the review's verdict?
The review gives it a solid 9.5 out of 10, calls it enchanting and unforgettable, a tale of adventure, courage, transformation, pretty much a must-read if you love magic, dragons, or just a really good hero's journey.
Yeah.
Hard to disagree, really.
9.5. Wow. Hard to argue indeed. What a journey we've taken just talking about it. From Bilbo's cozy hobbit hole all the way to this global cultural powerhouse. This deep dive, I think, really gives us a solid grasp on why The Hobbit lasts. Its appeal, its huge impact. We hope you listening feel much more clued into this amazing story and just how far its influence reaches.
Yeah, and maybe we connect it back to something bigger. Think about Bilbo Baggins again.
Okay.
Just this small creature of comfort, right? Happy in his little world. But because he opened his door, because he took that one very reluctant step outside, he starts this adventure that doesn't just change him into a hero. It unknowingly sets things in motion. Events that end up deciding the fate of his entire world.
That's profound.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What seemingly small steps, what little choices or moments of curiosity in our own, maybe comfortable lives, what could they lead to? What unforeseen, maybe even monumental impacts could ripple out from just stepping outside the familiar? We just don't know.
That is a great thought to leave everyone with, and it really speaks to the power of stories like The Hobbit, doesn't it? So we really encourage you to think about Bilbo's journey and maybe, just maybe, embark on your own adventures. Could be diving into a new book, exploring a new idea, or maybe just literally stepping outside your own comfort zone. Until next time, keep exploring.